Today, local and county leaders joining a luncheon on economic growth and how the three counties along the coast make progress happen. Austin Johnson joined the annual meeting as he reports county leaders are pledging another year of working hand in hand.
And thank you, Davis. I owe you maybe some beads.
That's Bill Lavers, the Harrison County Development Commission Executive Director. He came ready to show off a prized possession that opened last year.
I just thought it'd bring a little humor to the room.
Future goals, visions, and priorities are some of the things being discussed, but a big takeaway is the pledged partnership between Hancock, Harrison, and Jackson counties.
GCRF is broken.
GCRF stands for Gulf Coast Restoration Funds, which came after a settlement from the BP oil spill in 2010. The problem with it, Lavers says, not enough projects happening and the timing of funds.
It takes too long and costs too much money for everybody involved. If we're really going to think about the future, we have to do something better with the money than just individual projects.
Another problem Lavers mentioned is how in the past there's been projects the GCRF committee never saw that ended up being funded. This Gulf Coast Business Council Regional Priorities Luncheon allows local leaders to come together once a year and discuss not only opportunities but challenges they are seeing.
We have tried to stay consistent for at least 7 years with prioritizing projects through Hancock County.
For Blaine LaFontaine, the executive director of Hancock County Port and Harbor Commission, he says developing property is an issue that still needs some work.
That infrastructure in those sites are important to support a lot of our existing industry, and it's important for us to continue to build that out and have the resources to do our jobs effectively.
These leaders say whether in Hancock, Harrison, or Jackson County, growth and opportunity can be spread across the board.
We're one, but we're different, but we are unified, and we do collaborate.
While assets may be different for each county, these leaders understand each other's needs and how working together will bring economic growth to South Mississippi.
A violin sounds really good by itself, but when you put all those instruments together, it's an amazing process.
In Gulfport, Austin Johnson, WLOX News Now.